There is a fifth dimension.
About the unknown.
Beyond that which is known to man.
The Garden of Thought.
The Babylon Project was our last best hope for peace.
Unexplained.
Mythologies.
This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call
The Garden of Thought with Jeff Lippman.
Eventually, our sun will grow cold and go out.
You're listening to something much bigger, something hidden in plain sight.
It won't just take us. It'll take Marilyn Monroe and Lao Tzu and Einstein. All of us was for nothing unless we go to the stars.
What you're about to learn will completely change the way you experience your mind, your thoughts, and yourself.
Let's make sure that history never forgets the name.
The Garden of Thought.
Welcome, everyone, into Garden of Thought, and we're welcoming back in, I always call her a co-host. She likes to think of herself as a guest, and in fact, today she is the guest. And since we don't have another guest, I guess, I can't rightly call her fully a co-host, but she's a, what do you give a higher rank guest? Are you like a lieutenant colonel guest? Are you
an apprentice host?
Apprentice host.
Apprentice to the host.
Are you part of like the like a members only club, or like a frequent flyer or something? I don't know. Whatever it is See the Superior. For those of you who don't know See the Superior, shame on you. She's been on many shows. She was on the show with George O'Connor and Heracles. She was on the show where we talked about cosplay culture, and I think we talked about anime there as well. We talked about 2 shows on vampires, 1 on werewolves, and I'm sure that there were others as well. Yeah, she's visited quite a bit, and and the one on Freya, which was actually for your show, and you were kind enough to let me use it for dual use on mine as well. So there's at least 6 there. Today we're combining a couple things. One is anime, we're revisiting it, but through the lens of mythology in anime. And this was inspired by someone at some point telling me that, well, I don't even know the guy's name. Who's like the hero of Dragon Ball Z? Goku. Everyone's like, Goku is the Monkey King, Su Feng Yu or Su Young Feng. I'm like, no, I had no idea Goku was the Monkey King. But that's cool because the Monkey King is sort of like Hercules and like your sort of standard hero figure that's a little bit selfish and a little bit bumbling at the same time. So, so here we are. Anyway, how are you, Say?
Hey. Yeah, I'm happy to be back in my unofficial position here.
Oh, it's official.
But yeah, so today we're going to be talking about 3 animes in particular, one of which is very close to my heart. I know this is an audio podcast, but I'm a big fan of Inuyasha. I have Inuyasha merch all over my house. You can't see this as a listener, but I have commissioned artwork of Inuyasha in my home. And I even have little keychains of Kagomes from Inuyasha that I use and, have collectibles for. So we're going to be talking about a few, like I said. First of which, Inuyasha, of course. Secondly, we're going to dive into Jujutsu Kaisen, which is a newer anime. They actually have a movie coming out later this month, I want to say. They've had movies before, but this is one that's just being released in the U.S., I believe. And finally, we're going to end things off with Dragon Ball Z because, of course, we have to, right?
Of course.
So first things first, we're getting into Inuyasha. Now, Inuyasha is, again, not only my favorite anime, but it's right with a lot of Japanese mythologies. It's essentially a mythological soap opera in anime. So it's set in the feudal era of Japan, which is a time period spanning from the 12th century to the mid-19th century. And it's full of entities known as yokais. And these are supernatural entities, which traditionally can be anything from animals to humanoid beings to plants or even objects, and sometimes just unexplainable phenomenons in general. So there's a lot of mythology going on in the series. Outside of, actually, let's just dive into Inuyasha himself. He's, our titular character. He is what's known as a Hanyu. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. But a Hanyu is basically a half demon or half yokai. And again, which is, a supernatural entity, a yokai. The kind of character has a deep ties to stories of animals. In Inuyasha's case, he's a half demon, half dog demon. Also what's known as a Inugami. So Inugami in Japanese folklore is a dog spirit. So he's half of that. And of course, because it's an anime, he's like a strong fighter. He has a sword. He has, companions. And one of his companions being a character by the name of Shippo, who is something similar to in Ngami. He's something known as a Kitsune, which is a fox demon. So kind of like a dog demon, but a fox demon. And Kitsunes are traditionally depicted as a multi-tailed fox.
Okay.
Looking thing, yeah, and you've probably seen it.
Sure.
And as soon as I saw it, the first thing I thought of was Ninetales from Pokemon.
Yeah. Right. And as they get older, they have more tails as they get more powerful. A demon, is it the same connotation as a demon that's, sort of, let's just say Christian, like demon, angel, or is a demon just more like in Islam, like a jinn, like, neither good nor bad, or they can change their mind, more chaotic, yeah, okay. That's the question.
So a yokai, that's kind of what their word is, or in this case, word is for demon. And certain cases, it could be like a malevolent kind of creature, but sometimes it can just be like a mischievous creature. Sometimes it could, it doesn't necessarily mean evil. It's just like a spirit, like an otherworldly kind of thing, not necessarily, demon as in demonic.
So maybe more like a fairy would be the right English word if you're not, like the Celtic version of fairy, not like the, Tinkerbell version of fairy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or and jinn would work also. Okay. But not like demon, like Satan.
Yeah. Nothing spooks like that. Nothing like evil like that, even though they can be.
They can be.
There are others who are not.
Right. But that's not their sole mission, is to, sow evil and thwart man. So, but they might wake up one day and go, I feel like thwarting some dude today.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. Whatever side of it they turn up on in the morning. But
sometimes I feel that way too.
Same. But there are also other mythological features that appear in the show, namely Tengu, which are like forest demons. We have the Oni, a troll type creature that appear in the show, and most spookily, we have something known as the Nopora Bao, which is like a faceless kind of ghost, and it's often kind of depicted as a woman in these like animes and tales, which I thought was really interesting. But outside of the specific specific demons in the show, there are other mythological aspects to Inuyasha. In the show, Inuyasha and his gang are searching for the shards of the Shikon jewel, aka the Shikon no Tama. This jewel has the ability to enhance powers and purify beings, and seems to be inspired by the Shinto concept of soul purification. It may be loosely based off the Magatama beads, which were comma-shaped beads of good luck and soul protection within the Shinto kind of relation there. So if you're familiar with the show at all, any of the listeners, the Shikon jewel, as you know, it's like a circular shaped kind of, gem. And on the sides of it, it's these comma-shaped kind of beads. And I'm thinking those are definitely have to be inspired by the Magatama beads, which was really cool. And secondly, when it comes to the show, or thirdly, excuse me.
Can I check for a second? I just want to let the audience know, if you're wondering if you feel like you want a background in Shintoism, we did a show on Shintoism a couple of years back with J.J. Johnson from Southern Demonology, so you could hear their creation myth and some of their major figures and their pantheon, etc. And maybe it'll help, maybe not. Also, maybe listening to the other show with C and I forgot the gentleman's name, but on anime, that might be help too. If you're like me and know almost nothing about anime, and as a cheap plug for cross promotion, I just guessed it on Southern Demonology, and probably by the time this gets published, that will either be published or near published. So look for that.
Nice. Actually, Shinto appears quite a lot in these animes. So you definitely, if you're listening, go check out that episode. But yeah, so there are also priestesses in this series. Like Inuyasha's first love, Kikyo, and her reincarnate Kagome, which again, you can't see it because you're listening, but I do have a little Kagome figurine here.
Sure, I totally can tell that's a Kagome figurine. Couldn't possibly be any other figurine.
I've actually cosplayed as Kagome with a friend of mine who was in Inuyasha a while ago too, so I'm a very big fan.
They're all Sailor Moon to me.
Oh, I love Sailor Moon too. But the priestesses in the show are inspired by Shinto shrine maidens who serve kami, which is the word for God, and ward off evil. So that's sort of a connection there. And lastly, there is Naruto, excuse me, the show's antagonist, who invokes tales of what's known as the Tsuchigumu, excuse me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, which is a mythical and malevolent shape-shifting demon. Now, this is one of those evil demons, right, we were talking about, often appearing spider-like, who causes chaos by absorbing others. So in the show, we see this character actually physically absorbing, people in the show. And he does have like a spider-like shape that he goes into. So this is 100% inspired by this. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Which I thought was really interesting. And this Tsuchigumo, appears in legends like the Minamoto no Yorimitsu legend. So if you're listening, you can look that up. It's Minamotorimitsu. And I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, that's Inuyasha. Again, my fave to this day, top anime in my opinion. If you are a fan, I believe it's streaming on Netflix, so check it out, folks. Don't let this anime be forgotten.
Yeah, Netflix has a ton of anime on it. The only problem with it is most of it is kid friendly, which probably isn't a problem. I mean, so like, what's the difference between anime and say kaiju? I mean, I know what hentai is. I don't know if the word means something other than thing. I know what manga is, but I know kaijus are like big monsters, like Godzilla's a kaiju.
I think, from my understanding, animes are the actual like animations, and a kaiju is like a monster that could appear in an anime or like any kind of thing. If you've seen the trailers for Superman, the new Superman movie, there's a kaiju type monster in that movie. So it's basically like, kaiju is just like a large monster going around messing things up.
Yeah, it's like the Cthulhu Titans kind of thing.
Yeah, Godzillas or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, Godzilla's. Well, there's only one Godzilla, but sure, we get it.
Wait, depending on the movie, because Godzilla had some babies, and at least one of them I've seen in the.
Oh yeah, the one where Godzilla was either a female or it didn't matter. Then she laid eggs. I remember one from 1998 with Matthew Broderick and the song by. I guess we could say his name now since he's mostly acquitted. P. Diddy or Puff Daddy with Jimmy Page. Come with me. Listen, I like the song. I'm a sucker for Jimmy Page for the riff from Kashmir. The movie itself not so great. Of course, in the original Godzilla, he or she had a son called Godzuki, and the less mentioned about Godzuki, the better.
No. Oh, is this like, Scrappy Doo when Scooby had a nephew and nobody really liked him? Like
nobody likes Scrappy Doo, and it made us like pine back for Scooby Dum. Yeah, no, Godzuki even featured in the Godzilla cartoon, the old one, not the new one where Ian Ziering, Steve Sanders from 90210 was the voice. So yeah, Godzuki was even there, and even cartoon form Godzuki was annoying. Yeah, I bet if you type into your phone GIFs into Godzuki, you'll see. He's ugly. But he's not even monstrous. And he would try to blow the acid breath, and all that would come out would be like a cigarette when you smoke, when you blow like a smoke like an onion ring. That's all he could get out. Except occasionally when Godzilla would step on his tail or someone stepped on his foot by accident every now and then, he could do the real thing and cause some harm. But yeah, why are we talking about Godzuki so much?
I don't know, but I'm looking at, there's a cartoon version and then there's a live action version, which is the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, so it's like if Grimace got really sick and grew a tail.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it looks like.
It's like, Grimace, what happened to you? I don't know. I think I got the consumption. Why are you growing a tail? It's from the meds. Goddamn the Moderna. It's my COVID shots.
But okay, to bring it back to today's episode, we're going into another anime. Now, this one is a little newer, but it took off really successfully. I really enjoyed this one as well. It's called Jujutsu Kaisen, and this is kind of a thematically myth kind of meets. Or myth kind of blended together with modern horror. It's a little scarier, a little spookier.
I like that.
It's with cursed beings and things of that nature. So
sounds promising.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And one of the titular characters, known as Sukuna in the show, is this creepy two-faced cursed spirit. That was placed inside one of the main characters, Yuji. And that character, Sukuna, is based on a mythological figure called Ryomen Sukuna, a guy with two faces and four arms, kind of like he's depicted in the series. From the ancient Nihon Shoki text, aka the Chronicles of Japan, which is the second oldest book of classical Japanese history. And I was interested about that. So I said, okay, if this is the second, what was the first? So I looked it up, and apparently the oldest version or the oldest text is something known as the Kojiki. And from what I saw, it looked to be originally written in Chinese, but it chronicles Japanese history, which is interesting.
Those two places, those two countries, they have a lot of history with each other. Luckily, the first written book was not kaiju hentai, so that would be that would have been awkward.
Luckily or not so luckily.
Yeah, you're right. It depends on what
your tastes are.
I have a really very important. At what point do the women who are of an appropriate age but dress like Catholic schoolgirls but are all built like Pamela Lee and Baywatch come into play?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, because every anime I see has that in it.
Yeah.
And at some point, whenever the teacher leaves and they go, they all get into some sort of bullying and kung fu fighting thing, and they always bully the wrong girl. But even though she wins, her outfit is always precariously ripped.
Yeah, there's always some fan service in these things. It's I guess they are catering to their demographic.
And which demographic would that be?
Primarily, young boys and men.
Mm-hmm.
So, that answers that. Right?
Okay. All right. Very, very, very insightful there. Thank you.
But Sukuna from the show is based off of this mythological character. And depending on which story you believe, he may have been a real person that was kind of who became a legend and became a myth, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Like Arthur, like King Arthur.
Yeah, or Jesus, depending on.
Ooh, wow, you went there. Okay. Look at you. Going right for the big one. Okay.
Some stories credit Ryom and Sukuna with introducing Buddhism to new regions, while others describe him as a demonic and destructive being. So I guess, depending on what side of history you're on, and it could be one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what's going on with that particular character. The other cursed spirits in the show, like Hito and Jogo, pull from the idea of Onryo, which is a vengeful ghost spirit believed to cause harm to people and places in the natural world. So our world, these are like spirits that come back from the dead in order to, revenge something, right?
Sure.
They appear in Japanese folklore, like a story by the name of Yotsuya Kaiden, the story of a woman who was tortured and killed by her husband and comes back as an Onryo to do the same to him, pretty much. So any kind of strong emotion like jealousy or hatred, you're more than likely, if you die like that, you're more than likely going to come back as this like malevolent cursed spirit. So they have a lot of those in this series.
Is this I don't know if your research led you to this or if there's any academic support, but are these stories supposed to be to sort of make sure that like husbands don't mistreat their wives? Is it like, like a lot of fairy tales are so that like, kids behave? Like, are these so that adults behave?
I would say potentially in this one's folklore legend, there was also another version, or not another version, but another story that involved or Onryo, excuse me if I'm saying that incorrectly, but that was like a prince who was ostracized and he was killed, and then he came back and cursed the land and ended up moving the capital because of the curse. And it doesn't necessarily have to be specifically women and like battered women, but I think in that particular case it was about that, and it could be in order to prevent domestic abuse. I would assume so.
I mean, being haunted for the rest of your life by your wife that you abuse, and like she's a ghost and you can't touch her, but she can like cause lots of bad things too, seems like a pretty good reason to keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So that's probably where it came from. Keep these men in check.
Yeah, I mean, in feudal Japan, I'm sure there were plenty of things you could sword fight with, or what do you do? Those like karate things on those like wooden things with little, those little sticks.
I don't know what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like what Shang-Chi did, and you make your hands and every part of your arm like calloused and hard, and nothing hurts you, and you're hitting from every angle. I think Daredevil used one also. I mean, I'm sure every kung fu and karate movie somebody used it, and I'm sure they have a name that half the audience is like, it's called Velvet. Shut up, we don't know.
What we're talking about.
Right. Apparently, I did the wrong research. Apparently, all the research led me to kung fu fighting, borderline witches in Catholic schoolgirl outfits that had big fights with their enemies, but then they came together when the alarm went off and kaijus or robots came out of the sea, or a kaiju came out of the sea, and then their powers together could not fight off the kaiju, so they formed a giant robot and fought the kaiju. regardless of the status of their attire, there were always uniforms waiting for them to control said robots. So, and I took that to be actual history from the 1400s. I might be wrong about that.
Well, witches or at least spellcasters do kind of make a presence in this series, and I'm going to get into that because I thought that was very interesting. But prior to that, there are things in Jujutsu Kaisen inspired by myth. Other things that Jujutsu Kaisen inspired by myth are something they refer to as cursed objects, which seem to be traditionally known in Japanese folklore as Tsukumongami, a type of yokai, which is, again, if you remember from earlier episode, yokai are supernatural entities depicted as inanimate objects that have gained this spirit after existing 400 years. So if you are even like a chair or something, if you've been around for 100 years, then more than likely, you're going to get a spirit according to Japanese folklore.
Either you develop your own or some spirit finds you. Which is it, or can it be both?
From what I've seen in the folklore, it's the object develops its own. But in Jujutsu Kaisen, it seems to be that it can be other entities can take over that object. So, for example, there is Sukuna. The reason why Yuji gets Sukuna's spirit is because he eats a kind of antique, or not even like ancient finger, basically.
Delicious.
Yeah, which had the spirit of Sukuna in it. And that's how he, got kind of that spirit in him.
So we can have like a Schrodinger's Pinocchio experiment where we put a Pinocchio there in Japan and observe it for 100 years. And then if he becomes a real boy, we can question the boy and say, hey, are you Pinocchio? And it'll be like, yes. Have you always been Pinocchio? Oh, no, I was like an angry wolf, until like a minute ago when I saw that this doll, this little human doll, hit its 100th birthday. Or you can say, yes, I've always been Pinocchio, and I've been waiting patiently to turn into a real boy. And then we would solve that metaphysical Schrodinger's Pinocchio question, which since nobody would know what it is, I can't title this show Schrodinger's Pinocchio, but just everyone know I desperately want to entitle the show Schrodinger's Pinocchio.
Well, we won't be able to be alive to figure this out, but if you are listening and you have some 100-year-old family heirloom, please let us know if it has developed its own spirit, or it is, haunted by the spirit of your great-great-great-grand or something.
What do you mean we won't be alive for that? Speak for yourself.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You're freezing yourself?
No, I don't need to worry about that. I've been like this for at least 15 millennia.
So question, would you be freezing your body, or would you be implanting your consciousness into AI? Which would you prefer?
Well, only one of those would work, which is the putting your consciousness into AI. So if I was going to do it, it's going to be that. The freezing your body is absolutely not going to work. I mean, I don't think your body could take the shock. I don't think there's a flash freeze fast enough for that. And how do they get you into any sort of containment without you shattering? I mean, I don't think so. I don't believe this whole Han Solo carbonite thing, and that wasn't his body. He was encased in it.
Well, tell that to Brendan Fraser. What was that movie? Is it the Bicentennial Man or something, where he came back as a caveman from like a Frozen?
Was he Encino Man, or was that Pauly Shore, or was that the same movie?
Maybe that is Encino Man. I know it's Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser too with that. Wow, chef's kiss.
No, but listen, if it worked, Walt Disney would be walking amongst us now, because he froze his body. Or that's the myth, is that, or the urban legend that he, or the Orlando legend. Well, actually, I guess it would have been the Los Angeles legend. So anyway,
it's in California.
Yeah, no, I mean the thing that like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Jeff Bezos and all of the maybe benevolent, probably evil Bond villains are working towards. I mean, if I wanted to live forever, I'm going to go with what the evil Bond villains are doing.
Okay. Planting it into AI, aka inanimate object, potentially.
Yeah. Plus, most of the science fiction books that I read that are science-based books seem to be more upon that type of extension of life rather than freezing. I mean, there's definitely cryogenic where you can sleep and you got to take pills and you got to wake up every night. Anyway, it seems like a whole lot of work and also a very confusing thing. You sleep for 30 years, you wake up, you got to figure out what's going on. You sleep for 130 years, you wake up, you got to figure out what's going on. The world's past you. If you're an AI, you're a cyber, but you're always aware of what's going on. You're always dialed into the world. I mean, you never have to catch up because you've been caught up the whole time. Plus, you're AI, so you're like Neo in the Matrix. You download information. It's like me with tech. I'm an idiot, but as an AI, I wouldn't need to be because it gets downloaded into me, and all of a sudden I'm like a 90th degree black belt, and I'm like anonymous on the hack board.
Well, clearly you have a preference.
We didn't practice this question. It just seems like an obvious question to me. It just so happens that I listen to a lot of evil Bond villains and people who talk about evil Bond villains and people who don't think that that's an evil Bond villain move. So I'm a little fascinated with this whole thing. And I just rewatched the show Caprica, which is a prequel of Battlestar Galactica, and I remember hating it when it first came out. And I was with my first wife, so at the time we both loved Battlestar Galactica. And we both quit. First of all, everyone's smoking all the time. We felt like we were in secondhand cancer. But it was so slow and boring. And we stopped. And I'm like, I'm going to give it another try. So I watched it. It's fantastic. I mean, it is slow. It is a cerebral show. It's very much unlike Battlestar Galactica, but the tone is the same. And a lot of the themes are the same. And I'm not going to say it's as good as Better Call Saul was as a prequel done after Breaking Bad, because that was perfection. But this is next. This is silver medal. I don't know what would be the bronze. I mean, this is pretty darn good. I mean, if you like Battlestar Galactica, and you gave up on Caprica, look at it, watch it again through different eyes. Don't expect so much as a science fiction, Star Wars-y kind of, shoot 'em up kind of thing. Think of it more as a Gattaca or a Three-Body Problem or what we were just talking about kind of thing. Boy, we really got off subject, but that's all right. This is meandering. Meandering is what we do. I do have a question for you, though. Like, did you see any parallels with some of the creatures or themes that you encountered with other mythologies? Did you see something that's like, wow, that sounds like, I don't know, Horus. Does this seem like a Minotaur? This seemed like Zeus and Hera always hating each other, or, whatever. I'm just making up examples, obviously.
Well, in Inuyasha, there were definitely some like that. There were the Tenju, which are those forest-like demons, and the Oni, which were the troll, kind of like orc-looking kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So there are kind of like some crossover there that I noticed. When it comes to the vengeful spirits of the Onryo, that's very much like, a phantom of some sort, or that's what that was giving. So yeah, there's a little bit of crossover there. As far as like maybe Greek myths, not any that I noticed that I could just spread off right off the bat.
Because I'm obviously very rusty on Shintoism, but I do remember the creation story being strikingly similar to a lot of other creation stories that we think of as Western, whatever that means. But there were also parts of it that were very similar to what we call the Americas. Things like the hero twins, and the noble diver. But, there was also somebody going into the underworld and to go after their love. But she was basically desiccated at that point, sort of like Hel, Hel from Norse, was, half desiccated and in the underworld was the only place where she could live and control the monsters. I mean, these are not exact parallels, but there's a lot of similar stuff going on there, and the creation stories are all and there's a few themes. I mean, anyone who's ever read Joseph Campbell's, Hero with 1,000 Faces or Hero of 1,000 Names, you've read, 700 pages of these musings, but this is the root of like the people say, oh, well, there was this mother culture, Atlantis, that we all learn for, or there was this mother culture, which were aliens, which does, no, there probably was this mother culture, which, may have started, 300,000 or 200,000 years ago in what's now South Africa, or a little bit further north, or in Ethiopia, or, maybe, it took longer for us to be more social. Maybe it was, in the Caucasus, or, Ukraine, Russia, or Iraq, whatever, who knows? But whatever it is, it spread east and west, and there's a lot of similarities there. It's
if you go back far enough, there's definitely some similarities in origins.
Right. If you go back far enough, it's like you could grow up in Portland and move to Portland.
Yeah. yes.
And Portugal.
But to bring it back to Jujutsu Kaisen, when it comes to the mythology of the show, you can also add in the the Ormyodo, which it has a lot of occult influences there. The Ormyodo is a Japanese spell crafting mixing in Shinto and Taoism, and you have stuff like domain expansion within the show, feeling like an upgraded spiritual barriers, real life Onimayujis used to ward off evil spirits, and they are essentially spiritual practitioners of I'm mispronouncing Omi-Yodo. So they are the spiritual practitioners of that occult practice.
Are they humans? Are they like shaman or medicine people or witches, so to speak? Good, friendly
medicine people. They or spellcasters. They take bits of cosmic studies and natural studies, or things like that they would consider holy in the natural world, and they create these.
It's like Gandalf. They're like priests, but priests with benefits, but powers, not.
Exactly.
Right.
But that's Jujutsu Kaisen.
Is it jujitsu like the martial art jujitsu, or is it just phonetically it sounds like it?
I think it sounds like it. I like interchange it, but it's Jujutsu Kaisen technically.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not Jujutsu. But finally, that brings us to a lot of people's favorite animes. Not mine, but a lot of people's, which is Dragon Ball Z.
The main event.
The main event, which is pretty much martial arts and Monkey Kings, right? That's basically what it is.
What more are we here for?
So,
what is life without martial arts and Monkey Kings?
Actually, to kind of touch on what you were talking about earlier, were there any connections between the mythology here and other mythologies? Depending on your thoughts on mythology, like how broad you want to take it, there are a lot of comparisons to Goku and Superman, and Superman is nothing but a modern day mythological god in a way.
I cannot tell you how many times I oppose that to people who are mythologists or, professors who specialize. Most of the ones I know specialize in Indo-Europeans. Though I think even they, as they go further eastward, as they go from Russia sort of into Siberia, which, they start to realize, well, it's what I just mentioned. There's a lot of bleeding over. Anyway. Now I want to touch the Superman thing. Like, what's the mythology of Superman?
He's definitely a mythological being at this point. I feel like, so especially given that he has that whole orphan story, which is it's there's a lot of, like, Hercules, right? He was orphaned until he was taken in by these other humans, whatever. He's super powerful. He's kind of he's more powerful than us humans, mere mortals, right? It definitely gives demigod or God and mythological connections there, in my opinion.
Right, he's the holy outsider that governs, unites us all or defends us, whether basically forgives us, whether we're good or bad. He's sort of a Jesus with attitude. He's sort of like Jesus and his Father mixed together. All powerful but all forgiving.
Yeah, I love me some Superman. My favorite superhero, Superman. I did see the movie.
You did or did not?
I did.
And
I'm not sure how I feel about it though. I may have to see it a second time.
Okay. I'm hearing. Listen, I'm hearing a lot of people saying it's good. I'm hearing a lot of people say it's great. I'm hearing some people say it's freaking amazing. The person I trust the most with movies is the critical drinker, who said it's okay. It's a little chaotic. It's a little bit, too many characters. It's sort of jumbled. He said. James Gunn's Superman by James Gunn. He kept saying it that way to make sure you knew it was a James Gunn movie with the James Gunn tropes. And but the people who are excited about it are really excited about it. So I feel like I owe it to those people to see it in the theaters and not do what I normally do and wait for it to come on Max.
I'm kind of on that same kind of wavelength as your friend. I feel like it was okay. Maybe I have to see it a second time because it is so much going on in the film, and tonally, it's a lot different than what we've seen with Superman.
Mm-hmm.
But my first impressions of it were, it's okay, and I'm not sure if I like this Superman personality. Like, I don't know if I like him as a person.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone, you've been warned. Maybe we'll come back and revisit this after you've seen it and I've seen. Well, that seems like something that's more likely for your show.
Yeah. We talk about it if you want to talk about it. We'll chat after the show.
I'm not worried. I don't think you're cutting me off after this. Yet, anyway, not yet.
But to bring it back to Dragon Ball Z, Goku, which is everyone knows who Goku is. His original design was based off of Sun Wukong, which is what you mentioned earlier in the show, which is a Chinese mythological monkey king from a book called Journey to the West. He has a tail, just like the Monkey King, power pole, just like the Monkey King. There's a flying cloud. It's like all of these same things are there. Journey to the West is this, fictional mythological pilgrimage of a Buddhist monk who travels to India from China to kind of get this sacred Buddhist scriptures from there. And it's written way back in like the 16th century. But that's pretty much Goku. Definitely inspired by that character, Sun Wukong. Also, there is the Shinron dragon in Dragon Ball Z, the dragon who grants wishes. In the show, it screams a Chinese dragon, mythological dragon, right? So dragons, also kind of known as Chinese lung, I think is what they're called. It's the word for dragon. In East Asian lore, aren't really evil. They're powerful, wise, and sometimes grant favors to the worthy, which we see in the show. When you get, when you prove your worthiness by, gathering all the Dragon Balls, you get a wish and yada, yada, yada.
Right. If Thanos collects all the Infinity Stones, except, well, I guess you could have made your wish for bad. I don't know, but I don't know if these noble dragons are forced to grant a bad wish or they're so noble they can, well, that doesn't matter. We don't need to, we already did the Schrodinger's Pinocchio. That's enough metaphysics for one show on anime.
Also in the show, we have Ki, comes from the Chinese and Japanese word Ki, which is spelled, Qi in Chinese and Ki in Japanese. An energy believed in both cultures to be the fundamental and vital forces that flow through all living things, right? And in Dragon Ball Z,
the Force, just like what Luke used, and Iron Fist. Yes. Iron Fist calls upon his chi when his fist turns into, well, not iron but fire or whatever, and yeah.
Exactly, it's the Force, and Dragon Ball Z just turns it into like massive energy blasts and that crap planets and stuff like that.
Sure, of course.
Which is, and finally, even characters like Kami, which literally translates to God, right, in Japanese, And King Kai echo spiritual figures who live above the earthly realms, keeping the balance. Dragon Ball Z creator Toriyama basically took spiritual Taoist concepts and turned them into superpowered brawls. So there's definitely that mythological, spiritual connection there within Dragon Ball Z.
Well, the brawls are in Journey to the West. They're just not as, choreographed. And, they don't spend a lot of time talking about the brawls, just sort of how the Monkey King either bumbles his way into it or accidentally drops a mountain on people or things or monsters, or how Pigsy has to come to the rescue. He's got he's sort of like Robin Hood. He's got sort of like a little band of friends with him.
The way Dragon Ball Z will drag out a battle, like literally, it will turn into a several episode arc. Even like the Frieza battle was like forever and a day. So yeah, they definitely drag out these fights here.
See, these are things I like when you say Frieza. Like until this moment, I had forgotten the name of it, but I know that because it's got silver hair or something. They all have that crazy spiky.
Well, yeah, he has silver skin and it's like silver and purple, and he's famous for saying hello monkeys, talking about Goku and the crew.
Well, who's the one who looks like Greedo from Star Wars if he was on steroids?
Who is Greedo from Star Wars?
The guy that Han Solo shot in the canteen, the whole controversy that Han Solo shoot in self-defense or is he a murderer? No, I mean, he's green, he's got antennas, but he...
Oh, you must be talking about, I'm trying to think, you said Greedo from Star Wars?
Yeah, but don't worry about the Greedo, he's green,
Dragon Ball Z version will be Piccolo. I'm assuming you're talking about Piccolo. He has the turban and then the white cape, and he's
is he green?
Gohan's stepdad, basically, or pseudo father.
Is he green with antennas, like a Martian? Yeah, then that's him.
Yes, he is green. Also, Kami's green as well. So
okay. Now, Kamis are plural, though. But Kamis are, there's not just one Kami, aren't there? Isn't Kami like a class of gods, or is it monotheistic?
From what I can remember from the show, I believe it's just that one guy, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've seen Dragon Ball Z. Like I said, it's not my favorite anime, far from it, but it's a big one, so I wanted to talk about it.
And that Kami maybe only his interest in this particular adventure, sort of like how, Athena was particularly interested in Athens, and, Hera was definitely for the Greeks, in the Trojan War, and so was Athena. But, Zeus was sort of, I don't really care who wins. Actually, I sort of like the Trojans this 9 years.
He was just here for the ladies. That's what he was.
Yeah, it's like, you guys have fun. I'm going to go turn into a swan because that's how I get the ladies. It's like, Greek mythology shows, it's like, if you're going to go down, you go, I'm Zeus. I'm king of the gods. And it's like, are you going to turn them down? Probably not. You probably don't have a choice, whatever. But instead, he chooses to go down as a swan or a goat or a bull. And that's going to work on the... Yeah, what with these Greek women?
He's a freak. He's been around a long time. You got to switch it up. Keep it interesting.
Gonna do it swan style. Okay. All right. Zeus just being horrible. I think he came from a pretty long line of horribleness. They're all pretty horrible. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, sorry to any Greek mythology buffs who, are still 8 years old and think they're all good. I'm sorry. You're going to find out soon enough. All right. So the goal of Dragon Ball Z is, are they actually traveling from India to China, or is it some sort of, fictional world or worlds?
Well, they do go to multiple locations because they're in search of the Dragon Balls. Do they specifically go to India? I don't think so. Again, but Dragon Ball Z has been around for forever today, so maybe potentially in one arc they did go to a place that resembles India, or could be interpreted as India for sure, because it's been around for forever at this point.
Is it on Earth? Is it on our Earth or some semblance of our Earth, or is it just? It's just?
Yeah, it's on some semblance of our Earth. If not our Earth, if I can remember correctly. But there's multiple different planets. They're always destroying planets, so there's always another one coming around.
So they're like Galactus. Are there like girl Dragon Ball Zers? I mean, like in the show, not fans.
There's girls. There's Pan. I don't know if she's still. I think depending on what version you're looking at, she may not be canon. There's Volma. There's
not Velma.
No, is it Volma? Whoever Vegeta's wife is, her. There's Goku's wife. A lot of them are the wives. There's
you've got Vegeta and Volva. Come on now, this is again like that Seinfeld episode. Volva. Oh, Dolores.
It's been so long since I've watched Dragon Ball Z. I'm more of an Inuyasha girl, like I said. I can answer Inuyasha.
He actually said Mulva. He didn't say Volva, but yeah, he goes. She goes. You don't even know my name, do you? He goes, Mulva. And she walks out. Then it hits him. He goes out the window and he goes, Dolores.
Oh God! Yeah. She should have walked out if that's the case.
She did. There. Well, they all walk out on Seinfeld. I mean, that's the thing, is that he can't keep a woman because he's completely self-absorbed. I mean, all of them. They're probably like the gang from Dragon Ball Z, or they're like the Olympians. They're all basically completely self-absorbed people who like just go around, and every now and then they bump into people who are like similarly self-absorbed or put up with it for a while, but eventually don't. Or they're stuck with somebody and they end up getting killed because they licked too many poisonous envelopes. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's actually really a dark comedy of a show if you think about it.
Sheesh! Yeah, I've seen a couple reruns, but
it's very funny though. Selfish people are funny.
Yeah. Sure. Mm. But yeah, that was it. That was all the research I was able to gather for the episode. There are so many more, though. There are so many animes that kind of have this mythological connection. But these were the three that I thought were like most interesting and most like wanted.
I don't know anything about Sailor Moon except what you guys told me like 3.5 years ago. But is Sailor Moon at all like the Odyssey? Is like she trying to get home, and then keeps like getting diverted by monsters, or is it that's not she's just called Sailor Moon?
From what I can remember, she's just like a guardian of the galaxy. She is Serena is reincarnate of like a cosmic entity who was like really powerful back in the day, and saved the galaxies and was able to create galaxies in like one swipe, and very powerful, actually more powerful than Goku. There's been those debates, and honestly, Goku doesn't hold a candle.
Yeah, no. If you can create a galaxy, I mean, being able to break a planet's impressive, but creating a galaxy is that's.
There was a battle that there had with her and the other character. With every swipe, they would destroy the universe, and with every swipe, she would recreate it. And Goku's not doing that. Sorry.
But
it's not.
So Sailor Moon has a rival also with similar. So everything's about balance, huh?
Oh, Sailor Moon has many rivals, right? She has but she's always able to defeat them with the power of friendship and love and beauty.
Oh, well, that's nice. That's
actually, I feel like out of all of them that I can think of, that one probably has the most crossover with like Greek mythology and all that, because it's very much related to the cosmos and stars and stuff like that, and you see that in Greek and Roman mythology.
Oh, it's everywhere. Astrology is everywhere. I mean, that's something. Actually, J.J. Johnson from Southern Demonology asked me a question last night when he interviewed me, and he said, "What is it that surprised you the most?" I said, and I came up with two things. I can't remember, but one of those, like, growing up, you think astrology is like Miss Cleo and, Jackie Stallone and, the horoscope of the newspaper. And you go to Chinese restaurants and you see the placemat there and it's like different zodiac signs and different fortunes. And, it's all and astrology is everything. I mean, it's like astrology is like the entire basis of everything that's human now. I mean, it's touched everything. Reason why we have 12 months, the reason why our days are broken up into segments of 12 and 12. And of course, it's all math and movement. So people can argue that it's, that math is it, but it's astrology. It's all astrology. It's crazy. It is crazy. So don't laugh at the astrologers. They not what you've done. All right. Well, this was a wonderful tour of some of the famous anime properties and some of the mythologies that they share some space with. Mostly Japanese, a little bit of Chinese, and some Buddhism as well. And Buddhism does hail from India, but most Buddhists are further to the east, which is one of those strange little tributaries of history as well. But it didn't quite make its way over to Japan. But Taoism is pretty similar to Buddhism in some ways as well. But anyway, we're not here to talk about those things, and I might not even be right. So again, luckily, I do all these shows so that I don't have to remember everything. I can go back and listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about. All right. Well, see, once again, thank you. And two, tell people where they can find you. I mean, you're sort of a celebrity in your own right.
Oh, well, that's kind of you to say. You can find me on Instagram repping all things Inuyasha at See the Superior. Also on YouTube, See the Superior. Pretty much on all social media platforms, I'm See the Superior. Please subscribe to my channel and, check me out and yeah. Yeah,
definitely do so. And if you're here by accident or you're a fan of C's, or you came here because you saw me on Southern Demonology or John Michael Gaudier mentioned that he was on my show or whatever the case may be, or you finally listened to me after all these years on Wrestling Soup because my shows have been on the Big Boy feed, whatever the reason is, welcome. All you've got to do is subscribe to Garden of Thought. Basically, wherever your podcast feeds will be found, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, Podbean, iHeart, Amazon, Audible, whatever. It's everywhere, SoundCloud. And you'll generally get 2, maybe 3 shows a week. One is like this, sort of like if you turn on the History Channel or the Discovery Channel at 7 at night and leave it on till 3 in the morning. Yeah, that's right. Another one is a little bit more like if you remember those shows like 2020 or 48 Hours or A Current Affair, but generally one topic, but more news and topical based, but still me. So we try to keep it light, even though the subject is heavy. And then the third is called The Gospel of Thomas. And while it sounds religious, it is not, as with my co-host, Mr. Thomas from Major League Wrestling. This show was formerly The Book of Black when PJ Black was the co-host, also a former professional wrestler. And we talk to people in wrestling, but generally not primarily about wrestling things, but wrestling comes up. But it's fun. Like, there's a segment like teach Jeff about pop culture, because I don't know anything. I'm ancient, as you've learned, at least 15 millennia in this appearance. And
body's already in AI.
Yeah, that's right. It's working on that AI thing. Absolutely. And hoping to get me smarter also at that point. So yeah. Anyway, and you can follow me on the X at Icarus Fell MD if you want the wrestling nonsense at dose_evil, or you can find me on Facebook. And if you look like a real person, or send me a message, say I like your show. So I'd like to see what else you're up to. You can see pictures of my turtle because other people spam pictures of their cats and dogs. So I spam you with my turtle. So there. Have you enjoyed our friend Cleo and then all of her wacky hijinks?
I saw a recent post of yours with the turtle.
Yes.
And apparently she's into illegal substances now.
Yeah, she gets into everything. That wacky girl. She's crazy. I tell you, we went away for 4 days. We told her no parties. We come back. She's got an egg. She got herself pregnant. 2 days later, another egg. I don't even know how that hussy got out. So
Oh my.
that's right. I'm telling you, we got a floozy here over here. She was not raised well. I gotta say, and I'm a grandfather, so it's not my fault. Obviously, it's her parents' fault. So anyway, enough about me and the turtle. The turtle is a holy animal in many mythologies as well. A holy diver, and carries the world in many places. All right, everyone. I'm acting like I'm drunk, and I'm not, but that's definitely a time to leave. So thanks very much. See, is there a song that you would associate with what we talked about, or any anime that you would like to be the outro?
Hey, it's gonna have to be Inuyasha. I'm gonna sing you the one I want. But it's the best Inuyasha outro song. Now the name is escaping me.
That's fine. You'll send it, and the people will hear it when they hear it. All right, folks. You're going to hear something from Inuyasha.
Yep.
Yep.